Now on to the point. Eric Swalwell facing more allegations of sexual assault.
I did not consent to any sexual activity.
Tonight, following his resignation from Congress.
In light of the resignation, the whole number of the House is 431.
Colleagues distancing themselves.
This man led a double life. He lied to us. He lied to his family, lied to his constituents.
A special election just called. And a wide open race for governor. What's next for California politics? Well, tonight, a lot of unknowns remain after another woman accuses now former Congressman Eric Swalwell of sexual assault. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. We do have team coverage tonight on the political impacts of these allegations. But first, let's take a look at what happened today. In front of cameras, Lana Drews publicly came forward alleging that she was raped and choked unconscious by Eric Swalwell. She says it happened after meeting him in West Hollywood in 2018. She says that she will now be filing a police report.
I believe he drugged my drink. I only had one glass of wine. I did not consent to any sexual activity.
An attorney for Swalwell issued a statement on his behalf saying in part that he denies all allegations and that these accusations are false, fabricated, and deeply offensive. The accusations come as Swalwell's congressional resignation was officially read on the House floor just today.
In light of the resignation of the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell, the whole number of the House is 431.
That number is expected to drop to 430 tonight when Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez's resignation also takes effect over an affair with a staffer who later died by suicide. Both Swalwell and Gonzalez were facing possible investigations and expulsion votes. Tonight, at least 5 women are now publicly accusing Eric Swalwell of sexual misconduct, including allegations of assault, all of which Swalwell calls false. More of Swalwell's colleagues are also coming forward, distancing themselves from the former congressman. That includes Arizona Democrat Ruben Gallegos, who was close with Swalwell.
This man led a double life. He lied to us. He lied to his family, lied to his constituents. Some of the most powerful people in this country, even before he ran, he was trusted with some positions that normally we would never think someone like this could do if they're leading that double life. And again, I was manipulated, I was lied to, and everyone else was too.
Tonight, Governor Newsom called a special election for Swalwell's congressional seat. It will be held on August 18th, and the primary will be June 16th. This is separate from the June 2nd primary and November elections. The winner will fill Swalwell's seat in Congress for the rest of the year. And since Swalwell dropped out of the governor's race, the race remains wide open. These 9 candidates that you see on your screen, 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans, are considered the frontrunners. Many of them have been in Sacramento today, speaking at forums and making their case to voters. We do have team coverage where the governor's race heads next. ABC 10's Becca Habegger is looking at where campaign money is going now. But first, we do want to start with ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Ha, who is in downtown Sacramento, hearing from the candidates.
Well, the elephant in the room was Swalwell's dropping out of the race. We spoke to the remaining candidates to see how they think that shifts the dynamic of the race. Already, there's a lot more mudslinging among the candidates. We want to know Republican Chad Bianco and Democrats Katie Porter and Tony Thurmond were not at the earlier forum.
Well, this race is wide open.
A restart, a reset, and I think this is where all of us are going to be putting our best foot forward now.
Following former California Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell's campaign suspension, the remaining 9 candidates, 7 Democrats, 2 Republicans, hoping to seize the moment, some taking direct jabs at others for having quote-unquote baggage. Are you saying, Mr. Mayor, that the Democrats need to consolidate behind a candidate that doesn't have baggage?
The candidates need to consolidate around a candidate that doesn't have a scandal.
I am the only candidate in this race without significant personal baggage.
Candidates mentioning former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary and California Attorney General Javier Becerra, who was brought up in the federal indictment of Governor Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, not accused of wrongdoing, but unknowingly had funds from a dormant campaign account siphoned to some of his closest allies. To which he responded,
We're still a month and a half from the election and sleaze politics doesn't have a place. That sounds more like the MAGA talking points.
And billionaire and climate activist Tom Steyer, recently in the spotlight for formerly investing into a private prison company. He responded,
You know, my whole job on this is not to be a pundit and think about the race. My job is to do exactly what I said, which is to see as many Californians face to face, listen to their story and make sure I'm talking about them and the issues that confront them.
On the Republican side, former Fox News host Steve Hilton says,
We were leading the race before Eric Swalwell's decision. We were leading the race before President Trump's decision to endorse me, and I'm expecting now our lead to grow.
When asked if he fears Democrats could consolidate behind a candidate now with Swalwell's exit, Hilton remaining confident.
How is it possible, if you look at the facts of what they've done, for a Democrat to plausibly ask for 4 more years?
Getting ready to put out our first paid ad. We're still just introducing me to the state of California. You know, my opponents have name ID.
Groups and unions that have endorsed Swalwell in the past but have withdrawn their endorsement, are you hearing from any of those organizations?
Look, we're hearing from everybody. Honestly,
Including those folks?
we are hearing from everybody.
I have some fuel in my tank these days.
I've been an open book. I don't hide anything. Anybody can say that I've been in a scandal.
I think people now need to take a second look at all the candidates.
Another scandal that shook up the race earlier on was surrounding former Congresswoman Katie Porter and videos that showed controversial treatment of her staffers. We are working on speaking with both Katie Porter and fellow Democratic opponent Tony Thurmond as well, so we will be sure to keep you posted on what they think about the new dynamics of the race. In Sacramento, Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
And Swalwell's exit could mean big changes for finances in this race. ABC 10's Becca Habecker joins us now with a look at how much candidates for governor have raised.
Yeah, Alex, before dropping out over the weekend, Eric Swalwell had raised more than $7 million for his gubernatorial campaign and had secured some high-level endorsements, like from the California Teachers Association and SEIU, both of which pulled their support as the allegations came out. So what comes next for all that support? I asked political experts.
Republican strategist Rob Stutzman says the groups that had backed Eric Swalwell aren't rushing to fill the void left by his exit.
I think at the moment, they're trying to catch their breath and assess what's going on. They can't make another misstep to their members.
Democratic strategist Andrew Acosta says donors who feel burned by Swalwell may not re-engage at all.
Smart money, people are going to wait a little bit before they just jump on the next person.
According to the latest numbers from the California Secretary of State's office, billionaire Tom Steyer leads the pack of frontrunners by a wide margin in fundraising, with more than $121 million, almost entirely his own money. Matt Mahan is second at roughly $12 million. Steve Hilton and Antonio Villaraigosa are nearly tied, each raising just under $7 million. But Stutzman says Steyer's massive spending hasn't delivered the results one might expect.
Steyer has spent north of $115 million on ads, and he hasn't pulled away from this field, which suggests people have seen a lot of Tom Steyer, and they're not exactly thrilled about it. So he's built name ID that could serve him well.
Political analyst Paul Mitchell says the math problem for Democrats hasn't gone away.
There is potentially a reset, and the challenge for Democrats is that we still find ourselves in this same basic math function. 40% of votes are going to go towards the Republican candidates, 60% of votes are going to go towards the Democrats. And there's still 7 Democrats who are trying to split up that pie.
Mitchell says candidates like Javier Becerra and Antonio Villaraigosa are now spending their reserves early, hoping to become the next destination for Swalwell's institutional money before ballots go out. Meanwhile, he says Swalwell's progressive supporters might find an ideologically similar candidate in Steyer or Katie Porter.
At some point, Katie Porter's got to spend money, and how and what she does and what she says in those ads are going to be a big tell to see if she can actually, move from 10 to 18.
Meanwhile, Stutzman says San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan's super PAC is claiming a big fundraising weekend and promising $14 to $15 million in new spending over the next week and a half. Ultimately, all 3 analysts agree new polling in a post-Swalwell field will likely inform where the big money moves next.
All right, Becca Habecker joining us right now. Becca, we've talked a lot about, is there a chance of 2 Republicans making it to the November election? With Swalwell out now, does that math change at all? Does it move the needle?
Interestingly, both the Democratic and Republican strategist I spoke with said Swalwell's exit actually makes a 2 Republican race less likely because it helps Democrats consolidate. And Stutzman pointed out that President Trump's endorsement of Steve Hilton, which splits rather than unifies the Republican support, was welcome news for Democrats.
All right, Becca, thank you so much.